music as a vehicle to induce certain states of mind. We were talking a lot about cross-modality of the senses and synesthetic perception, how I felt this psytrance music being like a carpet texture for me that I could break free and float upon. And we talked also about how certain music styles they have a very specific sweet spot where kind of a socially emergent dynamic that I specifically experienced yesterday evening, and I am fascinated by the fact that you can have so many different manifestations of ecstatic dancing. The role of the DJ the day before, who was breaking with this traditional structure of the active performer and the passive audience. He was in the middle of the crowd, dancing, giving his all and feedback looping his energy with the energy of the crowd, and he was killing it. He was really advanced in the way that he was able to read the crowd and to stochastically intensify this experience, the ground upon which we can all float into the same direction of intensity. And then we go back to the dance temple, and there it is somehow interestingly more contained. And this free floating, it happens, but not so much on a crowd level, and much more on an individual small cluster level of people. Then we also passed the other techno stage, and there was a really interesting self-organization of the crowd, where around the trees people have naturally clustered, were sitting there, were chilling there, while at the same time providing space for the light staff and light poi performers who had their venue, they had their location, their safe space within which they could improvise and flow. And it was spectacular just how this self-organized into what looked like an amazing stage design. It was so organic. And I immediately noticed that this is a stage, I cannot go through this. This is a contained space, and it has been kind of socially, it was a social, unconscious social consensus that built in this way. My movements, they were directed by the morphic resonance of this self-organized social cluster. And it was really beautiful to behold. The trees providing the anchor around which people were clustering, within which the performers were flowing, all embedded in the bass heavy after echoes of a not so distant stage. And so the question came up, Boom as an enabling space, as an ontologically designed enable space that has certain experience-scapes. The design of the festival where you have a sacred fire stage on the far end, providing different styles, a very multidisciplinary musical style that was represented there. And then there is the dance temple, where the most intense music is playing, which is the kind of the heart of the stages. And from there, when you go back to your tent, on the pathway, the music gradually, with every stage, slows down a bit. There is the garden stage, where you have techno and some more electronic-based stuff, also multidisciplinary, but more focused on the electronic side. And then there is the liminal village stage, which again provides a much more chilled vibe. And then ever smoother, you go from one scape into the other, and there are these very clear thresholds. And then when you go above a hill, you enter this new scape, which has a completely new vibe, and it allows you to settle into it ever more. And the more you go to the tents, then you have this last scape, which is the audiovisual installation with these chords and a projection that projects images onto steam and clouds. It's an amazing experience when you go through the mist into the beach and you see the water in the darkness. So with this, you are guided towards your tents, toward the sleep, and all of this coexists in Boom Festival. There is all the shades, from the darkness to the light, the shades of gray and the spectrum of colors in between. All of this coexists. And this is what boomers love. There is so much difference, but at the same time, there is a common understanding of we are here as one tribe, and we want to learn from each other, and we want to be surprised by new things, to open our worldview, to intensify our consciousness. And then the big question comes, what potentials does this space still hold? And one of these is the potential, for example, of the bigger stages like Dance Temple. I was wondering, how would an ecstatic dance journey look at the Dance Temple? Why do we only play psytrance at the Dance Temple? How could we use this scene for another pathway toward enabling consciousness to flourish and to provide transformative experiences? So one advantage of these smaller spaces is that people can choose. So you always have choice, and obviously you have to find that common ground, and there are certain spaces for certain music-scapes, and it is good to have these boundaries. Sometimes boundaries should be broken and combined through each other. And that is the potential I see in the dance temple on a whole new level. Also breaking with the idea of the stage and the crowd, radically merging them with a concentric circular arrangement and not a perspectival arrangement. What I see in my own experience, what I have been seeking when I was 18, I was hunting jam sessions. Whenever I was at a concert, I would hope for the performers inviting someone from the audience to perform with them. It's such a nice way and a powerful way of connecting with your audience and bringing out unexpected potentials. So this is what I want to cultivate in the small in Vienna. In the end, the aim is to build a live set that is completely based on free flow improvisation with a set of well-defined instruments and musical or rhythmical syntax. So that also breaks this spell of always having to perform the same or the perfect set according to how it is written. It opens up radically the aliveness of the moment to come forth. And as I saw it here beautifully, there is a difference between a DJ being in the crowd, surfing with the crowd, taking the energy into his music, and a DJ who is behind his desk above the crowd performing his set. And yeah, there are spaces and contexts for certain experiential dimensions, and all of this is here at Boom, to be continued.